I offer my most loving and humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of my dear Mother Sai, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, embodiments of the divine Atma, embodiments of divine love. Om Shri Sai Ram. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, Bhagwan has said, not a blade of grass moves, and I have not willed it so. And so the spirit of devotion that brings his loving children together is only happening through his divine grace and will. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be here amongst you to share and to receive his love. I was born in an Islamic home in Trinidad and Tobago. A home where I grew up with many challenges of alcoholic abuse and drugs, domestic violence. And in the midst of all of this, at a tender age of 16, I began searching for God. An age where many of my friends would be interested in fast cars, money, fame. I gravitated more to understanding what is my purpose, why have I been placed on the face of the earth, and what is my role. My father was a very universal man. He read many different books, and often we would have discussions on God and spirituality. He would read Tagore and Gandhi, and we would have long discussions about life. I started reading books on the power of positive thinking, and not finding the answers there, I gravitated to the mystical, spiritual men and women in the different religions. And so I began studying Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Paramahansa Yogananda, Ramana Maharishi, and the mystical men of Islam, Jalaluddin Rumi and Imam Ghazali. And there I found a deep connection. I felt comfortable reading, understanding the journey of these souls. And in it grew the desire to realize, to know, and to build a relationship with God. And amidst the turmoil in my family, my inspiration came from my mother. We were a family of 9, 6 boys and 1 girl. And because of the turmoil in the home, every day I would see my mother kneeling and praying to God for one purpose: to have her family harmony restored. And this went on for a number of years, brothers and sisters. I used to attend the mosque in my village. After completing secondary school and not knowing exactly what I wanted to do, I would spend hours there in the mosque reading and contemplating and doing the prayers, until one fine day I meet a Muslim brother, 15 years my senior. And he was also searching, but what was very noticeable in him is that He was very universal in nature. And so for many, many months thereafter, we would spend hours discussing about God and spirituality and sharing the experiences of the divine masters. And I was really beginning to feel connected to my purpose until one fine day, he brings a book. And he said, Fize, I want you to read this book. When I look on the cover of the book, I see this afro hair, African-looking guy. And I said, who is this? And he says, this is God in human form. And I blurt out, how can you call him God? He's just a mere man. And very emphatically, he said, Fize, take this book and read it with an open mind. And so I took the book home, and from the very first page I read, I became immediately attracted to the contents. All that my brother and I had discussed about God and universality and spirituality, I found in the pages of this wonderful book on Satya Sai. What drew me more than anything else was the universality of his teachings. Here was a divine master telling us there is only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one caste, the caste of humanity. There is only one language, the language of the heart. There is only one God, and he is omnipresent. Here was a divine master saying, let the different faiths exist. Let them flourish. Let the glory of God be sung in all the languages in a variety of tunes. Respect the differences between each of the faiths and recognize them as valid as long as they do not extinguish the flame of unity. Here was a divine master that was teaching that I have not come to disturb or destroy anyone's faith, but to confirm each in his own, so that the Muslim becomes a better Muslim, the Hindu becomes a better Hindu, the Christian becomes a better Christian. And devotees, I read that book from beginning to end in one sitting. And so my appetite for more grew, and I read more and more books on the glorious life, teachings, and mission of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. I started attending the Satya Sai Baba Center closest to my home, and I remember being enthralled by the devotional singing, the soulfulness of it. I felt so much of joy and bliss, and I was beginning to feel that all the preparation in my life before was now to meet this divine master. Amidst the divine attraction, there was also a conflict of reconciliation of the teachings of Islam with the teachings of Satya Sai Baba. And so I sought out Muslims in my community and had long discussions with them about Satya Sai Baba and Islam. Amidst the confusion, I went back to the mosque and I prayed to Almighty Allah to show me the truth of who Satya Sai Baba really is. And I was guided back into the pages of the Holy Quran. In the Holy Quran, Allah says, Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, once said, he who knows himself knows God. And there is a verse in the Holy Quran that goes like this, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulallah. The Orthodox translation of this verse is that there is no God but Allah, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, is his messenger. But the mystical men of Islam interprets the same verse, not that there is no God but Allah, but that there is nothing but Allah. And so my doubts were being removed slowly and surely. From 1979 to 1981, after discussion and reading and attending so many beautiful bhajan sessions in my country, the final straw was to see for myself who this Satya Sai Baba really is. And when an invitation came directly from him to attend the first overseas Bal Vikas Guru training program in Prashanti Nilayam, I accepted. We arrived in Prashanti Nilayam on the morning of Guru Purnima 1981. We were ushered very quickly out of the taxi and we sat at the back of the Puna Chandra Hall with everyone eagerly awaiting the darshan of Mother Sai. And after a few minutes, the curtains part and I see this 5-foot form dressed in an orange gown float across the stage. And instantly I feel a connection. And for the next 30 days, with every darshan, with every manifestation of vibhuti, with every taking of a letter, with every divine discourse at the conference, Swami was removing the doubts deep within my heart. And at the end of that 30-day trip, I now was able to believe wholeheartedly that this was a true divine master. Someone had told me that Bhagwan had built a mosque in the village of Puttaparthi, and eagerly, enthusiastically, I inquired and visited the mosque and did the namaz or the prayers there. But it's a beautiful story of this mosque. The Muslims in Puttaparthi had to trek 7 or 8 miles, sometimes in the sweltering heat, to the nearest mosque. During the holy month of Ramadan, this could be as much as 5 times daily. Bhagwan, out of his love and compassion, not only for humanity, but especially for the Muslim community, constructed a mosque. And on Eid-ul Fitr Day 1978, Swami inaugurated the mosque, invited all the mosque board members and the Muslim brothers and sisters in the village. With a gentle wave of his hand, he materialized pendants with Arabic inscriptions and gave it to the mosque board members. And then Swami delivered a divine message, a profound message on Islam. And Swami said in part that the Holy Quran was revealed directly from God to the Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, in the same way that the Vedas was revealed to the Rishis directly from God. And the tenets contained in the Holy Quran, the principles outlined when practiced sincerely with commitment and devotion, can allow one to realize God. And Swami made a very emphatic statement. He said, no religion praises violence. All propagate love for God and service to humanity. Today, brothers and sisters, in Prashanti Nilayam, you could hear the holy call of Azan, the holy call to pray, reverberating throughout the village of Puttaparthi 5 times daily, testifying to the oneness, the universality, and the love of Bhagwan for humanity. Brothers and sisters, today I can humbly say that by understanding and striving to put into the teachings and to practice the teachings of my beloved Lord, that I have become a better Muslim, that I have a much better understanding of Islam. Swami once said in a message that Islam means, I shall love all mankind. This is a religion of peace that manifests love and selfless service. The Holy Prophet Muhammad was the embodiment of humility and compassion, and he reflected that in many, many wonderful episodes in his life. And one fine day, and a group of Christians were coming through the village. They had no place to pray, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad allowed them to set up their cross in the mosque to do their devotion. Such was the universal and loving nature of a divine master. The Holy Prophet Muhammad was called Al-Amin, the truthful one. In his 62-year lifespan, he never uttered a lie. And from age 25 to 40, for a period of 15 years, he engaged and submitted himself to intense spiritual sadhana, and then to receive the Holy Quran over a period of 23 years. This religion of love and peace and practical spirituality. Brothers and sisters, the essential core teaching of this avatar of the age, Bhagavan, is love. And we are all familiar with some of his basic, simple teachings on it. Start the day with love, fill the day with love, spend the day with love, end the day with love. That is the way to God. Love is God and God is love. The self lives by getting and forgetting, but love lives by giving and forgiving. Self is lovelessness, but love is selflessness. So we must live in love. And this is an avatar whose life is his message. Bhagwan once said avatars like Rama and Krishna had to destroy one or more individuals who stood in the way of the propagation of righteousness. But in this Kali Yuga in which we live, where every single one of us is tainted with evil, if the avatar were to uproot, there will be none left on the face of the earth. This is an avatar not of mass destruction, but of mass transformation. And the weapon that he is using to revolutionize the world, to transform each and every human heart, to unite the whole of humanity, is the weapon of divine love. Swami says, when the raging fires of anger, greed, jealousy, lust threaten to destroy our very existence and rob us of peace of mind, apply the soothing, healing, balming effect of divine love, which will act as a fireman to extinguish these raging fires in our hearts. Having grown up in a broken home, I never experienced what was true love until I came into contact with Mother Sai. This embodiment of love who says, take one step towards me and I shall take 10 towards you. Shed one tear in my name and I will wipe 100 from your eyes. Bring me the depths of your mind, no matter how grotesque, how cruelly ravaged by doubts or disappointments. I know how to treat them. For I am your mother, and I will never, never let you go. This eternal, overwhelming compassion and love for Bhagwan is manifested in so many devotees' hearts. I will pull one of so many millions to share his love and compassion. In the early 80s, I had the good fortune of meeting one of Swami's students, and he shared the story of Bhagwan's love. Giri Naidu lived in Prashanti Nilayam in the village of Puttaparthi. He lived with his mother. But because the household chores were overbearing and too much, she hired the services of an old lady in the village called Sampurna. Every day when Giri would go to school and come back, he would notice that the old lady Sampurna would always be in a state of sadness, always crying. And one day he asked his mother, he said, "Ma, why is Sampurna always crying? What has happened to her? She seems to always be in pain." And his mother sat him down one day and told him this story. Sampurna had an only child, her only son, 7 years old. One day the father of the child beat the child so badly and mercilessly. So great was the beating that there were bruises and wales on his back. So devastated he was that the child that day ran away from home. The mother was pained and saddened. She searched frantically throughout the village, but could never find her son. She inquired from all her friends and neighbors, but none had seen him. The next day and the next day, she would sit on the doorstep of a thatched hut and strain her eyes to see if he would come home. But he never did. She prayed as she had never prayed before because she was a very pious woman, a devout woman. And after many, many years, the days went into months and the months went into years. And the situation became chronic. And after a while, she gave up praying and she began to curse and quarrel with God that of all the devotion that she had given to him, that he had chosen to take away her only and most prized possession, her only child. Now her body had become frail and weak. Sometimes she would not eat for days. It had now been 20 long, silent, suffering years. She had not seen her son. And one day, Giri's mother brings a picture of Bhagwan. Knowing the plight of the old lady, she gave it to her. And she complained, she said, I do not know how to worship him. And Giri's mother said, all you have to do is pour out your heart and soul, and he will respond. And for the first time in 20 years, there was a flicker of hope in her eyes. And a smile broke out on her lips as she clutched the picture of Bhagwan. And she went into her room. And that night, devotees, she prayed with renewed vigor, commitment, sincerity, so much so that tears of that devotion fell on the picture of Swami, and she clutched it falling asleep. A miracle would take place the next day, being the Holy Thursday. As she was washing wares in the kitchen, she hears a familiar cry. Ma! Ma! Can a mother ever forget the cry of a child? And again it came, Ma! Ma! And she turned around with her frail body and strained her eyes and looked into the doorway and saw her son, that she had been separated for silently and painfully for 20 years. He was now at the doorstep, and with little footsteps, with gratitude in her heart and tears flowing from her eyes, she ran and hugged him up, and all he could say is, Ma, Ma. And she's holding his hand. She said, I am not your mother. Holding his hand, she took him into the room and pointed at the picture of Swami and said, this is your mother. Beloved devotees, we really do not know how lucky we are. How fortunate we are to have taken birth when this love, this mother side, this embodiment of compassion walks the very earth that we are walking. My dear brothers and sisters, all that this Lord wants from us is a heart filled with love filled with obedience to his teachings. Here is God who has sacrificed his life and embodied himself every single day for so many years. He has given us darshan. He has become accessible and available to his devotees. He has sacrificed his sleep. For what devotees? Because of his love that he has for humanity. Bhagwan says, I have separated myself from myself in order to love myself. And so many of us have been benefactors of this love. What can we give back to someone who has given us so much, devotees? Swami has said, no avatar in the history of humanity has ever been so available and accessible to his devotees. No avatar has ever walked so intimately amongst his devotees. How fortunate we are. Out of the millions of species in the world today, to be born as a human being is a rare and good fortune. Even more fortunate to take birth when the avatar is walking the face of the earth. Represents our good karma for many, many lifetimes. And to be born as a human, to be born when he is walking the face of the earth, and then to know him through his divine grace is even more fortunate. And devotees, even so much luckier are we when he has selected us to be contemporaries in his divine mission. Out of over 6 billion people in the world, Bhagwan has selected a handful of devotees. It is only through his grace and his love and his will that we are part of this wonderful Satya Sai mission. What are we going to do with this opportunity, my dear brothers and sisters? Swami says an opportunity like this may never ever come your way again. He says, stop playing marbles with the name of God. Stop being part-time devotees. Utilize every moment that this Lord has granted you with to love him and serve him to the best of your ability. No excuses, he says. Bhagwan has said that the Sai plane is on the runway. He is the charioteer. He is the pilot in our lives. And he says that you must come aboard this divine flight. When God becomes your charioteer, when he is the pilot in your life, guiding you throughout every single aspect of your life, what more do we want, devotees? Every single aspect of every single thing in our life, Bhagwan has given us the teachings, the guidance, and the example. We need to board this flight of divinity so we can experience his love. Bhagwan once asked, what can you do for the Lord? Swami said, be like beacons in the sky radiating love and light. That is what you can do for Swami. Do not worry about what other people think of you or try to please them. If you radiate love and light, all problems, great and small, will simply dissolve. Whenever unpleasantness is directed towards you, radiate love and light, for nothing can stand up when confronted by pure love and light. So devotees, as we commemorate his Mahasamadhi, what greater gift we can give to him than offering him our love, our commitment, and obedience to his teachings. I'd like to share with you a teaching of Bhagwan that incorporates and embodies what he wants from each and every one of us. Had it not been for the grace and divine intervention of my loving Lord, I would not be alive today. In my country, there is a public holiday on June the 19th every year called Labor Day. In 1983, being a public holiday, we had a Satya Sai bhajan session at a devotee's home the night before. And because the next day was a holiday, we sang bhajans throughout the night. I was traveling, driving, taking 2 or 3 devotees home in the early hours of the morning when I got involved in a massive motor vehicle accident. Another car coming towards me crashed into mine, traveling at lightning speed. So great was the impact that the front of the car almost reached the windscreen. The steering hit me in my chest and I began to cough up blood. The windscreen spattered and all the splinters sprayed on my face and chest. So great was the impact that I lost consciousness. I was 23 years then. When I awoke, I was in the hospital. I could not even make out my face. Many devotees had gathered and thinking that Brother Fize will not live, they began chanting mantras and pouring tulsi water in my mouth. A most amazing thing happened. During the ordeal, I felt absolutely no pain. And today, the memory of the accident, no matter how hard I try, I cannot remember it. It is as if Swami removed it from my consciousness. And after 3 days, I was discharged and sent home. And with the loving care of my mother, I recovered. In October of 1983, that same year, a group of 45 Trinidadians journeyed to Prashanti Nilayam, and I get my first interview with Mother Sai. I sit 2 feet away from where he was sitting. And the first thing he does, he takes his finger and he points at me with so much love in his eyes. He said, "It was I who saved you from that accident." And Swami did his hand like this. He said, "You drive too fast." So all you fast drivers, listen. Bhagwan said, start early, drive slowly, reach safely. What do we do today? We start late, we drive at breakneck speed, and we reach dead on time. Beloved devotees, with a gentle wave of his hand, I see just from 2 feet away, Swami materialized the pendant. And bending forward, thinking he was given the person in the back of me, Swami said, "No, you." And putting my hand out, he drops the pendant in my hand, takes a group of devotees into the inner interview room. And then all the Trinidadian friends were saying, "Brother Fize, please show us." And as I begin to do this, Swami, within 30 seconds, comes back out of the interview room, inner one, and hits me on my shoulder. No exhibition. And so I wear it where no one can see. Beloved devotees, this pendant, as Bhagwan has said, whenever he manifested different objects, he said, whenever you are in difficulty and you hold on to it and pray, it will relay a message to me. Last year, when I took my family to Barcelona, we attended a Sai Baba satsang there, and I shared this experience with the devotees. After the satsang finished, one particular devotee could not find his car keys. And in his car was his house keys, and he lived far away from the center. He frantically looked throughout the center, lifting up the cushions and the blankets and the sheets, but we could not find it. He became sad and frustrated. And then one lady came and said, "Brother Fize, why don't you hold Swami's pendant and pray?" I did not even think about it, but I followed. And I sat in a little corner and held on the pendant of Swami. And I said, "Om Shri Sai Ram, Om Shri Sai Ram, Om Shri Sai Ram," focusing on his form. After a few minutes, I shared with the devotees that we should continue looking. And lo and behold, after a few moments, I feel my left kurta pants pocket suddenly got heavy. And when I placed my hand, I pulled out this big bunch of keys. And I said, Sairam. And when the devotee saw it, he could not believe. Sairam, Sairam, he said, with tears in his eyes. He came and we hugged one another. And everybody was chanting, Sairam, Sairam, Sairam. And we all went at Swami's picture. And we expressed gratitude and appreciation. Such is the love of Mother Sai. Beloved devotees, I share with you what was revealed to Charles Penn many, many years ago and what was sanctioned by Bhagwan as his own words. It is a message of universality. It is a message that deals with the mission of every single devotee. It is something that we should take stock of. Bhagwan in his own words says, your mission has begun. These are my words to you, my devotees. Each of you now has work to do. My mission has now reached that point in time when each of you now has work to do. This planet Earth has a purpose in the galaxy in which it is held. That purpose is now unfolding itself before our very eyes. Allow yourselves to impart the purity of heart within to all living beings and creatures, but do not reach for the fruits of your work. This part of my mission is performed in absolute silence. Be always aware that the moment you allow your ego to descend upon you, my work ceases. When you have overcome your negative unmindfulness, you will again become my source. The multiplication of my love will be felt throughout the world. I have prepared you for this work over many incarnations. My work is ceaseless, and so your work too is without end. Know that I am within you, and without you there is no difference. Rid yourselves of petty matters forevermore. My darshan will pour forth from me to and through you. You may be unaware of this constant action. Be ever pure in heart and soul, and mankind in your lifetime will benefit from your unique qualities. Others too will join me in this mission when I draw them to me. The time is fast approaching when all of humanity will live together as one. That time will be here sooner than one expects. Before it arrives, be prepared to do whatever is necessary to reveal to every single living thing the true purpose of existence. It is not something that anyone alive can imagine. It is not something that anyone can try to aspire to. I can only tell you that its beauty is magnificent beyond all dreams. And as each of you perform your silent work, I will embrace you to my heart. And henceforth your souls shall be lifted up. Your faces shall reveal my presence within. This I say to you, my devotees, from the Lord's mountaintop, where all the universes become one. Be about my work, my beloved bhaktas. Your breath will carry the scent of the blossoms of heaven. Your example will be that of angels. Your joy will be my joy. the loving golden words of the avatar of the age of Mother Sai, guiding us, inspiring us to become examples in his divine mission. Brothers and sisters, I'd like to take a few minutes and share a little of the experiences and service projects that we have done in Trinidad and Tobago. And I hope through the sharing that it will inspire us as we continue to be loving instruments in his divine mission. If we were to define the Satya Sai Baba organization, it is a spiritual organization engaged in selfless service to awaken the divinity within. And so beautifully it was done by Sister April, on those wonderful seva projects throughout the world. Service is very close to Swami's heart. And I'd like to share a little bit of what we do in Trinidad. Trinidad and Tobago has a population of 1.3 million people, and we have 52 Sai Baba centers spread over every village in the country. Our forefathers came from India 165 years ago as indentured laborers to work on the sugarcane plantations. So Muslims, Christians, and Hindus were on the same ship for a 3 to 6 month journey. And in order to deal with the challenges on the seas of starvation and sickness and disease, they all bonded together. And so when they landed in the West Indies, religion did not divide but united the families. Today in Trinidad and Tobago, in the villages, you can find a mosque, a temple, and a church existing side by side without any fear or contradiction or wars. Now, since the early 1970s, a Satya Sai Baba center now is in every village, fostering the already existing unity and diversity that existed from our forefathers. So wonderful is this unity that if a Hindu is having a puja or a bhajan session, his Muslim brothers and Christian brothers will come and share and help and be part of it. It is not uncommon in Trinidad for a Muslim to marry a Hindu and live harmoniously. In fact, in one of my talks in Houston, I shared with the audience that I am Muslim and I married a Hindu, and one lady said, "And there was not any war?" Now I do more pujas and prayers than her. And our children are now Sarva Dharma children. So beloved devotees, you can go to a Sai Baba satsang in Trinidad every single day of the week. So if you want to get liberation, quickly come to Trinidad. We have 4 radio stations that broadcast the mission, birth, and teachings of Bhagwan, 1 hour per station per week. We have 2 national television programs that reflect his films on his mission and his work. So whether you like it or not, Satya Sai Baba is in everybody's face. Everybody in Trinidad and Tobago is aware and they know of Satya Sai Baba. Every single Sunday morning, we build a house for needy families in 3 hours. Houses that can withstand hurricane winds of 125 miles per hour. And we will show some pictures to show you. Someone can leave to go in the market at 6 a.m. and come back and have nothing there and come back at 9 and see a 2-bedroom, fully furnished structure constructed. This project is done primarily by young adults who specialize in different aspects of the house building. And so the week before, we cast a foundation of concrete. And then the next Sunday, 40 to 50 volunteers get together. And it is done so clinically, so lovingly, so efficiently. And it is fully furnished. And then we hand over the keys to the recipients. And all of them break down and cry by saying, no other organization has done this for them. Some of them are so overwhelmed that they join the Satya Sai organization and attend the centers. But as one devotee says, it's not about just putting windows and doors and the roof together. It is connecting hearts with the love of Mother Sai. Brother, are you able to? Just to divert a little bit, we have two huge Satya Sai Baba Nilayams in Trinidad and Tobago that was blessed by Bhagwan. This one is called the Ishwaramma Sai Center, which is housed in the southern part of the country. And this is the stupa at the side of the building. This is called the Ishwaramma Sai Center, and this is the entrance to the building. It is beautifully decorated with trees and gardens. And when the photo was given to Bhagwan by our then central coordinator, Swami told him, "What beautiful gardens you have. Send a gardener for me." And Swami took his pen and he signed the photo that is housed in this Satya Sai. This is the altar, beautifully with Swami's pictures and the Sarva Dharma emblems. These are the beautiful pictures on the altar. Then this is the organization headquarters now, which is in the middle of the country. It's called the Sai Nilayam. Again, blessed and approved by Swami. It was inaugurated on the 23rd of November, 1996. In fact, the Ishwaramma Sai Center can hold up to 2,000 members. This one is even bigger, and this is where we hold all our big celebrations. This is the main hall. This is the ladies' entrance. And this is the altar. And this is Bhagwan's chair. This particular building can hold over 2,500 members. And what has been a great breakthrough in the country recently is that through Bhagwan's grace and will, the Minister of Education has granted denominational status to the Satya Sai Baba organization. No other spiritual organization has ever gained this status, and so it is unique. And today we have 4 Satya Sai preschools spread throughout the length and breadth of the country that depict character development. The ministry funds about 80 to 90% of the running day-to-day expenses without compromising character development in the children. We are presently identifying 5 more locations so that by the end of the year, there will be 9 Satya Sai preschools in Trinidad and Tobago. This is a very unique project that we do every year. And it was so wonderful to see a similar one being done here in the US. And the project really involves, there's a Trinidad and Tobago Blind Welfare Association that houses visually impaired persons, 150. And once per year, the Satya Sai organization, mainly the young adults, we plan a day of happiness and joy by taking them from the institution to a nearby beach facility. So the young adults become eyes for these visually impaired on that day. And we journey through buses and we bring them to the beachfront. They are served a sumptuous lunch. And the most important enjoyable activity for them is when they go into the sea to take a bath. So we have a number of lifeguards that patrol the area to ensure their safety. and they really enjoy themselves in the sea for about 1 hour. This is where and you could see some of them really, really enjoying themselves. Then they come back out and they themselves then conduct a cultural program for us, consisting of jokes and songs and cultural items. And then we transport them back to their respective homes. And when it is time for them to leave, they really break down and cry. They said, nobody does this love, this service that brings so much joy to their hearts. And then we have the house building. Beloved devotees, you all would have remembered a few years ago, Haiti had a massive earthquake where over 250,000 people lost their lives. And Bhagwan gave permission for the Satya Sai International Organization to render service. This is some of the damage that was done. Buildings were flattened. Thousands of people lived in little tents like this without any water or medical facilities. It was really a heart-wrenching sight to behold. This is a church that was donated for the use of the Satya Sai Baba organization to do a medical camp. So lovingly was the priest that he gave this particular church. And so every day we would conduct medical camps. Now there's a beautiful story with this child. In fact, it's very sad. This child, when the child took birth, the mother placed the child in a dustbin to die. And another person found the baby and took care of the child. And so in the next slide, this is the lady taking care. And she brought the child to do a medical checkup at the camp. Then every day we would cook hot meals for the children who never ate for many a day because of the destruction. And then the medical camps were done. And doctors from the US and different parts of the world all got together. And it's the most amazing. This is the only Satya Sai Baba Center in Haiti. And when the hurricane hit, this particular building was left untouched and unblemished. And this is where the volunteers spent many time. This was a makeshift school that allowed the teachers to carry on education. And this is a day when we went to distribute 125 food boxes to the nearby villages. Now when we were in Haiti, we built 4 of these houses in 3 days. And these are the young adults in action. It's amazing to see that labor of love that they manifested in the Haiti project. 4 houses were built in 3 days in Haiti for deserving families. Now in Trinidad, this is what happens every single Sunday. There's a family that lives in a house like this. So we do an investigation and an assessment to assess the need. And we came across this family that was very much in need. So we agreed. And so the 20-foot foundation that you're seeing there is cast the week before. And then on the next Sunday, the young adults get together, and this is how the house goes up. Different people working on different aspects. And everything is completed with burglar-proof and curtains and fully furnished in 3 hours. And so this is a little bit of what we do as service projects in Trinidad and Tobago. Brother Rohan, I'm not too sure. Do we have time for the questions?
We have a few questions, but I think we don't have time for all of them. Probably we'll take a couple of questions depending on the time. Sure. So let me read the first question. It's kind of in 2 parts, like in thought and word. Swami says, always speak the truth, and also help ever, hurt never. But truth can sometimes hurt people. How should we interpret these situations? It's about the word and then about the thought. What are the practical ways to control negative thoughts?
If I can provide an answer for the last part of the question. how do we control the bad thoughts? Bhagwan has said that when a bad thought arises in the mind, you substitute it with a positive one immediately without it taking hold of you. So you have to be like a watchman on the door of the mind. And as soon as that thought arises, you have to substitute or replace it with a positive thought. And you begin to feed the positive thoughts. And as Swami said, the more positive thoughts they are, it will drown out the bad or negative thoughts. But it requires us to be vigilant every moment, because it springs sometimes out of nowhere. The first part of the question, Brother Juan?
The first part was, Swami says, always speak the truth, and also help ever, hurt never. But truth can sometimes hurt people. How should we put into practice, I guess, these situations?
I think I understand a little bit of it. It is always, I think when we are even speaking the truth, we have to be mindful of how it's going to be received by the other person. And we need to exercise wisdom to ensure that even though I'm telling the truth, if it can hurt someone, that we need to be mindful of how we tell that person it and how we present it to them. So the whole idea is trying not to hurt somebody either in thought, word, or deed. So I feel it's the way that we package, the manner in which we can relay that message or that truth to the person. Swami has also said that in relation to your thoughts, you can ask yourself these questions. If a thought arises in the mind, Swami says, ask yourself, is what I'm about to think going to be pleasing to Swami? Is what I'm about to do going to be pleasing to Swami? Is what I'm about to say going to be pleasing to Swami? And if the answer is yes, well, then you go ahead and you engage in the thought, the word, or the action. If the answer is no, then you desist. But if there is doubt in your mind, Swami says, do nothing until the uncertainty is clarified.
So I think maybe we can take one more question. We're running out of time. What is the best sadhana to hear? What is the best sadhana to hear the inner voice of Sai?
These are very hard questions. Everybody's sadhana is different. What is the best sadhana to hear the voice of God? I'll just share what Swami told Dr. Hislop in Conversations. Swami told him that if you want to get an answer to a particular situation or question that you have, go in a quiet place in your prayer room. And he said, intensely pray to God. Pray to Swami with all your heart and soul and ask sincerely for the answer. And then offer it to God. And then Swami said, the answer will come. There are many of us who we have a favorite type of sadhana. There are many people who love chanting the name of God. So sometimes an answer may come when you actually sing the name of God, or you chant a particular bhajan and you offer it to Swami and the answer comes. I know of devotees who love to meditate. So they do the Gayatri and they chant, and then they do the silent meditation, and the answer comes in the stillness of your heart. Then sometimes you may ask Swami a question and you meet someone during the course of the day who gives you the answer. I know of devotees who take one of Swami's books and they pray and they cut it, and then the answer is given. So there's so many different avenues one can use to extract or obtain an answer from Swami. So whatever can work for you in terms of your sadhana, you can follow.
I think we have time for another short question. This is an easy one. So it says, I'm going to rephrase this question. How many of those of other faiths in your country have you helped to find and revere our beloved Swami?
Well, in Trinidad and Tobago, especially with the house building exercise, wherever we go in the villages and communities, we attract people from the community who are really inspired by the Seva project. The house building, more so than the satsang, the house building has attracted Muslims and Christians and even Hindus in the villages who are non-devotees. But because they are inspired by the house building, they come, and when they taste the love, the selflessness, the transformation of the project, now every single week, these groups of people come wherever the projects are, and they take part. So in Trinidad and Tobago, because we have a predominance of Muslims, Christians, and Hindus, we do get from time to time people of the other faiths, especially along the lines of the Christian people and a few Muslim people who come and join. But more so, they come through the Seva projects, and then they attach themselves to the centers, because when they are inspired by the service project of Satya Sai, they then inquire now, who is Sai Baba? What are his teachings? And now we bring them into the centers. So can I sing one song and bring the message to an end? It's a very, very beautiful song on human values, and I'd like all of us to join together. Love, peace, righteousness, and truth.
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 Holy Spirit, dwelling in us all.
Holy Spirit, dwelling in us all.
Father in heaven,
Father in heaven,
give us your grace. Father in heaven,
Father in heaven,
give us your peace.
give us your peace.
Love in every heart.
Love in every heart.
Peace in every mind.
Peace in every mind.
Love in every heart.
Love in every heart.
Peace in every mind.
Peace in every mind.
God here and now, Shri Satya Sai Baba. And as we continue to aspire on the spiritual path, let our fervent and heartfelt prayer be that we will ceaselessly strive to be wonderful examples of His divine love. Jai Sai Ram.